In 2020, at astronaut Luke's home, a group of astronauts are celebrating a farewell party with their loved ones as they are soon to depart on their first mission to Mars. All their loved ones and acquaintances are present to bid him farewell. Jim, a pilot, also arrives at the party, albeit late. Originally, the mission was Jim's, but his wife fell ill, leading to Luke being chosen instead. Luke feels guilty because this mission was Jim's dream, but Jim reassures him by wishing him all the best. After everyone leaves, Jim imagines himself on Mars and puts his foot on the sandbox. 13 months later, the crew lands on Mars at a place called Cydonia. A remote-controlled rover analyzes the surrounding mountains and detects a structure 16 kilometers from their location. The crew spots a shiny object on top of the mountain resembling ice. They believe that if it is ice, they may discover an entire water reservoir beneath the mountain. They send a message to the World Space Station orbiting Earth, where Woody, his wife Terry, Phil, and Jim are present. They inform them that he is going out to explore the unusual mountain. The crew approaches the structure with the rover when suddenly they hear a faint sound on their communication system, but they dismiss it as interference from their rover. They use a radio wave radar to study the mountain, revealing the presence of metal beneath the entire mountain. Luke dismisses it as a mistake and instructs them to recheck the mountain by increasing the radar power. Suddenly, the mountain emits an intense energy pulse, causing all their equipment to stop working. After this, a huge tornado starts rising around the mountain, which is so powerful that even the rocks start flying into the air along with it. Before the crew can understand, the tornado sucks everything inside it and appears to be sentient. The crew starts to retreat, but then the tornado kills Sergey, Rennie, and Nick. Fortunately, Luke survived the incident. When the tornado subsides, a giant metal face is revealed. As a result of this incident, the space station crew detects an extremely powerful explosion, and they hold an emergency meeting. They receive a video of Luke in which he describes confusedly that all the crew have been killed, and he is the only survivor. Woody tells Captain Ray of the World Space Station that they should send a rescue mission for Luke, but Ray says that Luke may already be dead, and there is no way of knowing if it is safe to go to Mars, because all communication has stopped. Phil says that the Saturn probe is passing through the orbit of Mars, with the help of which they can get information and plan their mission soon. Jim explains that they can reach Mars orbit faster by reducing the weight of the spacecraft and carrying more fuel. However, Ray does not think it is a good idea because he does not trust Jim, as he had not completed some of the remaining psychological testing after his wife's death. Woody insists that it was Jim and his wife who conducted the extensive studies and designed the Mars mission. This argument finally convinces Ray. As a result, a rescue spacecraft with a team of 4 astronauts leaves for Mars. After 174 days, when they approach Mars, they notice that a sandstorm has started on Mars, which is moving straight towards the Mars 1 expedition camp. So now they have to move ahead of schedule, otherwise the storm will cover the entire planet. A few hours later, the Saturn probe passes close to Mars, and they see images of 3 graves near the previous team's base camp, meaning Luke may still be alive. They see the place where an energy pulse came from, and this energy is still emanating. They believe the probe is at fault because the earthquake 6 months earlier could not have caused this, although Jim disagrees with the earthquake theory. Captain Ray grants the crew permission to land on Mars, and as they prepare for the landing, micrometeoroids unexpectedly strike the ship, injuring Phil's hand and puncturing holes in the ship, causing the ship's pressure to begin to decrease. Woody, with the help of the team, seals the hole from the inside and out, but they have no idea that the meteorite has also damaged their fuel tank, causing fuel to leak into the Martian atmosphere. When they ignite the engine, an explosion occurs, destroying their ship. Now the ship starts descending into the atmosphere, indicating it will burn up in 3 minutes. The crew has no other option but to abandon the ship. Suddenly, they discover a supply module left in orbit by the Mars 1 mission, only 1 kilometer away from them. So the crew tries to reach the supply module by spacewalking, but it turns out that the supply module is moving very fast. Woody flies at full speed towards the module, expending all the fuel in his jetpack and attaches a cable to the module. However, he loses his grip and becomes stranded in space with no fuel. The rest of the crew express their desire to save him, but Woody says they won't have fuel left to go back. After successfully stepping onto the module, Terry uses her jetpack to bring Woody back as she cannot see her husband die, but Woody tells her to return, because if she goes any further, it won't have enough fuel to return. In a last-ditch effort to save Woody, he threw a cable. But unfortunately, Woody was out of his reach. Woody says goodbye to Terry and then removes his helmet, killing him momentarily. Terry is completely devastated to witness this, but Jim consoles her. The crew at the space station stops receiving signals from Mars too, but suddenly they receive data indicating that a supply module has landed on Mars. Ray believes that only Jim is capable of such a feat. Terry and Phil manage to successfully land the supply module on Mars. They reach the base camp of the previous mission, where they find most of the equipment damaged. However, they can still repair them and return home. Jim goes into the greenhouse and sees that someone has been living here for a long time, as all the equipment is operational and the plants are alive. Suddenly Luke attacks him because he thinks Jim is just an illusion, but Jim manages to calm him down. He cries with joy when he learns that his friends have come to save him, but becomes very sad when he learns about Woody. Jim asks what happened to them that day. Luke just repeats that something came out of the top of the mountain and killed everyone. He believes there was a purpose to his survival. Perhaps he was chosen and saved, and now it is her responsibility to uncover the mystery. Jim sees a storm outside that is about to cover the entire planet. However, Luke says that it arose from that mysterious mountain that day and has remained there ever since. Jim thinks it's just a storm and that Luke is taking it too seriously. Luke then takes them inside and shows them an image on the computer, in which they can clearly see a mountain shaped like a face. He also played a sound that he had heard for the first time. Luke says he analyzed this sound for a year and discovered that the strange sounds are a repeating group of mathematical symbols that correlate groups of sounds with a coordinate system and reveal a model of DNA. Luke believes it is the signature of the creatures that placed the face there. The DNA looked exactly like that of a human. However, the model is missing the last pair of chromosomes, meaning they are not human. Jim suddenly realizes that the DNA model obtained from the voices is not a signature, but a test. The last pair of chromosomes is missing, which means the face is waiting for an answer to a question. The crew of Mars 1 were killed because they did not connect the missing pair of chromosomes to prove they were human, and they inadvertently sent radio waves that gave the wrong answer, resulting in the face becoming defensive, exactly like a security alarm. Jim wants to identify the missing pair of chromosomes and transmit them via radio waves to the face so that the test can be completed. However, the rest of the team fears that they will be killed if they give the wrong answer again. Jim says that his friend's sacrifices will be in vain if he leaves without finding answers. Luke says they don't need to get close to the face. They can complete the test by sending radio waves through a remote control rover. The team agrees, and a rover is sent near the mysterious face to send recordings. As they transmit radio waves, the answer to the riddle is proven correct, and a door opens on the face, from which a blinding white light emerges. Terry believes this is some kind of invitation, so Jim, Terry, and Luke go near the face, while Phil stops by to finish repairing the ERV. Phil is ordered to launch with or without them before the storm arrives. As the astronauts enter the white-walled room, the entrance closes, and they lose contact with Phil. Jim notices that the atmosphere inside is breathable and removes his helmet. Then a door behind them opens, and when the team enters inside, they are shown a 3D model of the solar system, which reveals that life once existed on Mars as well. But billions of years ago, a massive asteroid collided with the planet Mars, destroying its entire ecosystem and making it uninhabitable, and the people of Mars migrated to other galaxies. However, a spacecraft was sent to Earth with their DNA, which was the spacecraft that arrived on Earth and brought the first single-celled organism with it. This means they were Martians who gave life to the human race. That face was placed on Mars so that one day humans could land on Mars and recognize them as ancestors. The crew sees a hologram of a Martian who holds their hand and invites them to accompany him. Just then, they hear the voice of Phil, who tells them that the storm has intensified and they have to leave soon. Jim says that it is a spaceship that is going to take off soon because the countdown has started. Jim accepts the invitation, bidding farewell to Terry and Luke, and agrees to proceed in their spaceship to explore space, as his wife wanted. Terry and Luke agree with Jim's decision, bid him goodbye, and head out. They barely make it to the return trip module as Phil is about to leave. Jim steps into a white circle and is lifted up. As the capsule begins to fill with water, he begins to panic, but soon realizes that he can breathe in it. Jim remembers all the best moments of his life and gets ready to travel to a new world. Suddenly, a tornado arises, and the face begins to collapse, through which the Martian ship rises up and leaves Mars. Phil, Terry, and Luke see the ship heading towards a galaxy and wish Jim good luck.